Welcome to OpenECX's webinar. Today we're going to be talking with Domis and why they chose WebContractor to transform their subcontractor application for payment process.
Before we start the webinar in earnest and we introduce Chris, I just wanted to give a brief background on ECX and specifically WebContractor. If we can just page down, Alex. Yeah, ECX was started in 2012. We are based just outside of Preston in the northwest of England, and I'm happy to say that we've grown to a position now where we have 40 employees servicing around 21 countries around the world. We have over 5,000 live connections to both our e-trading and our WebContractor product, and a great number of the top merchants, top house builders, contractors and contractors in Ireland use our platform. We are focused on construction and the construction supply chain, and feel that we have experience and testament that allows us to be authoritative on this subject matter. Just to give you an example of our customers, some of the logos on the next slide would hopefully give you a picture of the customers that we service. Contractors of the size of Kia, Skanska and John Sis, right through to builders, merchants and regional subcontractors. And indeed, as I mentioned before, right across 21 countries around the world, some of the largest construction organisations in the world use the platform from ECX. We principally have two product streams. One which we call Purchase to Pay, which covers the transactional element of electronic trading, receipting invoices, orders, order acknowledgement, statements, etc., etc. And that has now grown to incorporate electronic integrated orders to the likes of Hilti and Wolseley, but also receipting of invoices from companies of the size of Kia, right down to regional house builders and supply chain partners such as CW Berry in Lancashire, at 40 million, 50 million pound turnover organisations. So it's not just a technology that's aimed at the largest companies in the construction supply chain. It is being utilised by a great number of smaller contractors and smaller builders merchants. Within that product portfolio, we have our marketplace solution, which allows catalogue procurement to be placed upon suppliers by buying organisations. So an example of that would be someone like Wolseley trying to get their customers to place orders on their own integrated e-catalogues. And that community has 2,500 connected businesses in its own right. The product stream on the right is our WebContractor product, and this was born out by a conversation with a significant contractor, a £400 million business, whose finance director wants to bring the same disciplines that he was receiving from electronic invoices from material suppliers to bring to bear on his subcontractor and commercial processes as well. So he wanted to see visibility of application for payment, visibility of cash flow, and he challenged us in 2014 to build a system that could manage that process, and hence we've developed the WebContractor product. They deal with the full application for payment process, including subcontractor orders, authenticated VAT receipts, subcontractor invoicing, insurances, self-billing, etc., etc. And I'm happy to say that that community now has 2,500 subcontractors actively using the platform to submit their applications for payment. So in a sense, that product now is what we are best known for. Indeed, in 2019, we won the Best Use of Technology Award with our customer, Jeffrey Osborne. And as I said previously, that online portal is now being used by 2,500 subcontractors to engage with their contractor customers. And what we've developed within that system is the full gambit of certificate, self-bill, payment notice, pay less notices, but it also allows smaller contractors to use it in a standalone fashion. There's no need for full integration back to finance. Quite a number of our most successful customers don't have that integration back, so you can pick up this product today and start using it in your commercial and finance function without necessarily integrating it back into your financial system. And whether this be on a divisional level, a group level, a project level, you can see your cash flow and your forecast at different levels of the organisation. And behind this process is the fact that we will then work with the contractor to help bring on their subcontractors. So there's the quality self-help, there's the advice and guidance right through our organisation. We call this onboarding, and we take time out to help get the subcontractors on board, introduce them to the system, introduce them to the process, and that has delivered a great success for the organisation. So quite a number of main contractors are now using that platform and increasing the number of subcontractors that are integrated to the platform. The system is built around a core module dealing with the application for payment process, but it also then covers things like minor works, insurances and bonds, and the full integration to your back office financial system. And indeed, the people that we try and help with the use of this system, obviously within the contractor business, we're trying to focus this on finance, the financial team, the commercial team, the management of QSs, but the benefits are there also for the subcontractor. Treating your subcontractors well is a common theme within UK construction. And also the final group of people that we're trying to bring benefit to is the end customer. So if you've got to demonstrate how well you're paying your subcontractors on time, how well you're adhering to fair payment, well, quite a number of contractor customers use this as evidence to the UK government to win capital projects in their own bidding and tendering process. Okay. So without further ado, the real sort of the real thrust of this presentation today is just to introduce Chris Whittingham, who is one of who represents Domis, one of our customers. Chris will take us through a little bit of background on Domis, but also then a little bit of background on his use of WebContractor. And the emphasis today is really to using question and answers, is just to demonstrate to the audience Chris's thoughts on WebContractor and the benefits he sees that they're deriving from the use of that system. So Chris, would you mind just giving us a brief overview of Domis as an organisation?
Yeah, that'll be fine.
You want to just take us through some of these points?
Yeah, so Domis properly established. So we set the business up in May 2017. We're a construction business based out of Warrington, and we're primarily working on large-scale high-rise developments in the centre of Manchester. We've completed over 1,000 apartments to date. We've got another 1,000 in production or nearing completion. We're also entering into the low-rise housing market, and we're building 500 houses in the centre of Salford in the next 2 years. We've gone from turning over 28 million in year one up to circa 100 million now in year three, so we've grown really quickly. And part of the ethos of Domis is that we wanted to make sure that we didn't fall into the trap of being like most of the construction industry when it came to paying supply chain, in that in previous roles we've worked in, subcontractors have been paid on 90 to 128 days. We've all run businesses where that's badly affected our own operations, and we want to change that with this business. So part of our ethos is to pay subcontractors early, and up to this point in time, paying subcontractors on average of 14 to 21 days, and that's had a tremendous impact on the operations of our business. Now, we couldn't do that at first. We couldn't deliver on that promise because we didn't have the systems in place. So we were paying some subcontractors late. We had other payments that were being duplicated because of the way the processes we had in place, and we needed a system that was going to help us deliver on that ethos. and that's where WebContractor came in. And we've had it in for about 9 months now, and it's proved a very worthwhile investment for the business, and we are delivering on that promise of paying subcontractors on time now.
That's a brilliant introduction, Chris. And if Alex just flicks down for a second, I don't want to give away too much detail, but just using the system, what payment timeline are you working to, and which modules are you using within the WebContractor platform to service that?
So we're using the module that allows us to receive subcontractor applications direct from the subby. So they upload them into the system, and then we have a defined payment timeline, which is what you're illustrating on the screen here, in line with our contractual terms. So it's very slick. Subcontractors have to upload their valuations by the 23rd of every month, valued up to the 30th. They're authorised by the quantity surveyor on the project. Once they're authorised, they go through to finance, and then they're paid within the payment terms that are set out in the contract. We're also just starting using the insurance module as well in the next few weeks, where we don't have to chase subcontractors for certificates of insurance, and the system automatically alerts them when they need to renew, and then they can upload their certificate directly onto the platform.
Brilliant. If you don't mind, I do have a few questions and prompts just to put you a little bit on the spot, Chris. These are just aimed at teasing out of you where you see the project, where you see the value and the benefit. You say you've been using WebContractor for 9 months now. Has your entire subcontractor community come on board with it now?
Yes, they have. I'd say we've probably got 100 subcontractors that are using the system. It was difficult at first in getting everybody on board. As with anything, people don't like change, but eventually the system speaks for itself, really, and it's more efficient for subcontractor to be uploading their own applications, and what they can see is that application going through the process, so they know when it's been authorised, they know when it's been checked, and they ultimately know when they're going to get paid. So it's a win for everybody.
That's great, and I know that obviously there's been some in the first introductions of the system. We have to get everyone on side. This was seen as a finance tool initially, or did your commercial team understand the benefit from the get-go?
No, probably the other way around. It was for us. It was more of a commercial purchase to strengthen that part of the business. We've got probably 10 quantity surveyors working for Domis, and they were spending a lot of the time processing applications that they received through email in various different formats, and that was taking a lot of their time up. So they've really seen the benefit of they can access it wherever they are, and it allows them also to have an authorization chain, allows them to manage their work more effectively. So the result of that is that a lot of the applications now are processed on time, and we have very few that are late, and that's because a quantity surveyor, the information is there for them, and it's being managed in a successful way.
Thank you. And just in terms of the IT side, the technology side, I'm always conscious that there's a bit of jaundice within contractors when we talk about new systems and change management. And I was hoping just to reassure the audience of this is quite a simple, I think it's quite a simple system to bring on and take on and introduce to your organisation. It's not a giant IT project. just wondered whether you had any view on that.
No, that's right. It's very user friendly, and we made sure that we had plenty of training days with the commercial staff just to go over anything they weren't quite sure of. Open ECX helped us with that by giving us a dedicated training manager that came in and did some workshops. And we also had a day where we invited our subcontractors into the business as well to give them some training on the system. If we hadn't have done that, then I think it would have been a different story, and we would have been inundated with calls, etc., from worried subcontractors how to use the system. But because we did that, it all went smoothly, and we got 1 or 2 calls from subcontractors that didn't quite understand things. But on the whole, once they got going, within a couple of months, they're all happy and signed up to it and using the system effectively.
Right, and there's been some rapid change, not only in turnover, but also in the processes and systems that you've introduced to Domis. Initially, you used WebContractor in a standalone form, but currently there's a project looking at integration back into your core financial system?
Yeah, so we use Sage 200 with a Sycon construction bolt-on to run the business from a financial transaction point of view and a job costing point of view. It just makes sense that the information that is in WebContractor can be transferred into Sage easily. So OpenECX are working with us on a system that allows data interchange between both systems, which we're working on at the moment, and that'll just provide another efficiency for the finance team going forward.
Yeah, I believe that project's quite close to being completed, so hopefully we'll be able to talk about that soon as well.
Yeah.
I'm always interested from the perspective of where you would possibly see this in your armory of different systems. Obviously, Sage is your financial system and runs the organisation, but would you say that WebContractor is a key system now for the organisation and couldn't easily be replaced?
Yeah, absolutely. We had a problem with some subcontractor applications. We'd had a number of instances where we'd overpaid a subcontractor, or we paid a subcontractor twice due to the inefficient way we were running things through email and Microsoft applications. We don't have any of those now. We haven't had a duplicate payment since the WebContractor software was integrated. And I think one of the biggest things we've noticed is the amount of calls into us from subcontractors has tailed off significantly, just because they can see what's happening themselves in the system. We'd say that was down about 90% since we went live, which is great for us. It means we can focus on other areas of the business.
And an area that we're a little bit remiss on is actually getting feedback from the subcontractors. Have you actually received any feedback to your organisation about the use of the system from your subbies?
Yeah, we've had some really positive feedback in that it's just an easier way of tackling the task of submitting their applications for payment every month. It sounds like an easy process, but the amount of things that can go wrong, and that's just not happening with this system. Subcontractors are using it effectively, and that's a win for them, and also a win for us, because the information is coming through in a timely manner, and everybody's working to the same hymn sheet. There's a structured format of how things work, and everybody's following that format.
Good. Alex, do we have any questions from any of the audience?
At this moment, no, but everyone, feel free to send in your questions to us if you have any right now.
Okay, so the killer question I'd like to ask, and putting Chris on the spot there, if we just flick down to the next slide, do you concur with our belief that we're generating benefit for these 4 groups of people? The client, the finance team, the commercial team, and the subcontractor?
Yeah, I absolutely agree with all those points. We've seen improvements in the way our processes are running across the finance team, which I've mentioned. One thing we've not touched on is cash flow. So it's very, very easy for us to get a figure off the system of what our liabilities for subcontractors is for the end of the month that we're in. That's simple. There's a dashboard in the system that tells us that, which is in real time. So that's a big tick for the finance team. The commercial team are all, as I said, working the standardised way. The admin's been reduced, and importantly, everything's now authorised. So before we took the system on, we were some subcontract orders weren't being authorised by the business, and that's now changed. And you can tweak that for different levels of management. What it means is if someone is on annual leave, then you can still get something authorised in the system, which is also an efficiency gain for us. And from a subcontractor point of view, they're more than happy with working in this way. They weren't at first, as I said, because it involves change. But once they get into the system and they can see the benefits of it, then they quickly came around to that way of working.
Well, I'm conscious of time. We do deliberately try and keep these to 30 minutes because everyone's got a day job to do. So I'm keen that we hit that 30-minute marker. Alex, do we have any more questions for Chris?
No, that's it at this moment in time. Thank you.
Chris, I just want to say thank you from me. At ECX level, we do place customer relationships, trusted partner has been a key differentiator between us and our competitors. And that's not to say we get everything right all of the time, but we do think ourselves as a partner rather than just a supplier.